So, when we originally think about dismissive avoidance, we often think of dismissive avoidance as being excellent boundary setters. We think of dismissive avoidance as having no problem setting boundaries or saying no. But when you zoom in a little bit more with a little bit of a magnifying glass, we may see that there's more to this story. And particularly that dismissive avoidance may be good at setting those large boundaries, those firm boundaries, like canceling plans for the evening or saying that they can no longer go on the trip to the cottage for the weekend, or doing things where they say, no, I'm going home right now. I need to leave. But when you look more closely, you may see that dismissive avoidants there are setting large boundaries effectively, but actually struggle to set very small boundaries and assert themselves in small ways throughout their interactions, which is actually part of what causes them to feel forced to rely on those large boundaries as mechanisms for self protection. So, in this video, I want to take you through some big sort of tips and must knows about boundary setting as a dismissive avoidant, and some things that you want to work towards if you are the DA, or understand if you are a loved one of a dismissive avoidant as a whole. So first and foremost, as I said, dismissive avoidants are good at setting large boundaries, but often struggle with the small ones. And really, it's kind of an assertiveness and communication problem at its core. It's that there's this lack of feeling like you are able to communicate a truth, know your feelings in real time when around other people, leading to you being able to say yes and no. And so dismissive avoidants, rather than setting all boundaries well, they set their survival boundaries well. Like when they're feeling really dysregulated and unsafe, they leave, they get out of there. They have that sort of strong flight response that can come online. But when it comes to, like, let's just take a look at an example here for a second. Let's say that you are the partner of a DA. And let's say that that dismissive avoidant is like, yeah, let's for sure get together on Friday. See you then. And the dismissive avoidant reaches Friday and they're feeling really tired. Rather than saying something like, hey, see you tonight, but instead of going out for dinner, why don't you just come over and we'll just watch a movie because I'm tired? And then when you come over and watch a movie because they're tired, say things like, hey, I might not be, that talkative. I kind of need some quiet time. So let's just, watch a movie and have that quiet time together. Rather than setting those small boundaries to say where they end, like what they're available for or not, right? Where they end and you begin, and manage expectations through communication. A DA instead, when they're feeling that way, because they feel disempowered to communicate about where they stand and get their needs met in those interactions via their boundaries, instead they'll just cancel plans. They'll just say, hey, I can't hang out tonight anymore. And that can cause a lot of detriment to relationships. It can cause a lot of challenges and pain points, and it can often leave their loved ones feeling like they don't matter, or that they aren't cared about. And so it's really important that dismissive avoidants learn to set those small boundaries, to be able to figure out how to assert themselves in small ways so that they can still interact with people while feeling like they are being true and authentic to themselves. It's like you don't have to get freedom as a dismissive avoidant through always just taking space and time away from people. You can have your freedom while in relationships through effective self-expression of where you're at, what you need, and seeing those needs through communication. And so this is where dismissive avoidants have the most work to do. And this is such a powerful shift for DAs, not just for the individual, but also for them in relationships. It changes the relationship with the person that they're in. And so if you're on the receiving end of this, I mean, you can definitely encourage your DA loved one to communicate more, to let you know what they need, because the more they are empowered to do that within your interactions, the more like they'll feel like they have their sense of freedom while connecting with you, right? They'll feel like, oh, I can be free because I can be free to say what I'm available for or what I can and cannot do while we're connecting. I don't just get my freedom by pushing you away altogether and canceling plans and not being around you. And it's such a powerful hack for DAs to grow and to become more interdependent. And if you are a dismissive avoidant, a huge set of steps you want to go through is first to like get in touch with your feelings and to work to understand what your boundaries really are. I have a whole boundaries course you can check out for free for 7 days. It takes you through all of this. It takes you through your fears of setting boundaries, helps you audit your boundaries, see where you're setting them and not setting them in multiple areas, not just relationships, but even things like career or around money. And it will help you then do the reprogramming necessary to be able to set your boundaries and express yourself. And as I always always say, like, our boundaries are us showing up authentically. When we're hiding and we're not sharing our boundaries, it's like we're not sharing our true selves. We're sharing ourselves with a mask, right? Or we're hiding when we think we're getting too close and we're afraid that we don't trust ourselves to set a boundary when we're with someone. And so there's all these things that actually cause huge detriments and can really wear and tear at a relationship over time. Whereas when we feel safe to express ourselves truthfully and feel safe to manage people's expectations by just talking about it. Hey, I see that you want me to go out for dinner. I really need to stay in. I'm tired. When we can communicate that way, this is ultimately what empowers relationships the most. And it really is, as a DA, how you can feel like you have your sense of independence and freedom and autonomy for your yeses and nos, while also being able to have a stable and loving and healthy relationship. So boundary work for DAs is absolutely massive, believe it or not. It's definitely something that's usually an unknown. And hopefully this makes a lot of sense to you. And please feel free to check out that boundary course for free for 7 days using the link below. Thank you for watching. Please let me know any questions or comments you have down below, and I will see you in future videos.